March 18, 2021. Eastbourne, England. A 67-year-old pensioner named Alan Slattery walked into a nationwide building society branch. He approached the counter and handed the cashier a note. This wasn't a deposit slip or withdrawal form. This was a robbery note, written on a sticky note. Because when you're planning to rob a bank, office supplies from the pound shop are clearly the way to go. Very professional approach to crime, really sets the tone for what's coming. The cashier looked at the note, squinted, tilted their head, looked again, could not read it. Slattery's handwriting was completely illegible. The cashier genuinely had no idea what the note said. They just stood there confused, while this 67-year-old man waited expectantly for them to be terrified and hand over money. Awkward silence, growing tension, all because of penmanship. After an uncomfortable moment, Slattery realized this wasn't working and left. Walked out empty-handed. First bank robbery attempt defeated by poor handwriting skills. That's a new failure mode for crime. Most criminals worry about security systems or police response. Alan got stopped by cursive. After he left, the bank staff got together and tried to decode the note. Multiple employees working together like they were cracking an ancient manuscript. Eventually, they figured it out. Your screen won't stop what I've got. Just hand over the 10s and 20s. Think about the other customers. Threatening message. Would have been effective if anyone could actually read it during the robbery. But Slattery's handwriting required a committee and time to decipher, by which point he was already gone. Really undermines the fear factor when your threat needs translation services. You'd think this would end the criminal career. Normal people would take the hint that maybe bank robbery isn't their calling. Not Alan. He went home and apparently worked on his handwriting, practiced making his letters legible, focused on penmanship improvement like he was preparing for a calligraphy exam. Most retirees take up gardening or golf. Alan chose handwriting practice for better bank robberies. Different hobbies for different people. 8 days later, March 26th, he tried again. Different nationwide branch, armed with improved handwriting and another sticky note. This time the cashier could read the threat. It worked. They handed over £2,400. Alan successfully robbed a bank. After 67 years of presumably law-abiding life, he'd cracked the code. Better penmanship equals better crime. Should probably add that to school curriculums. Improve your handwriting, expand your career options. Here's where Alan made his critical error. He left the bank with stolen money and got on a bus. Public transportation. The vehicle with cameras everywhere. That makes scheduled stops, where drivers recognize regular passengers. Alan used his senior citizen bus pass to pay for the ride. Swiped his personal identification card with his name, photo, and address on it, immediately after committing a felony. The police didn't need detective work. They needed basic database access. Which bus passes were used near the bank at the right time. One search and they had his name, face, and home address. Technology working exactly as designed to catch criminals who use public transit with government-issued traceable cards. Really thoughtful of him to essentially check in on social media after the robbery. The CCTV footage from the bank showed a man in a distinctive jacket. The bus pass database showed Alan Slattery used his pass minutes after the robbery. His bus pass had his photo. The CCTV had the robber's photo. They matched. Police work completed by comparing two photos. No manhunt required, no complex investigation. Just basic photo matching and database searches. Alan made their job so easy it barely qualified as detective work. More like administrative filing. But Alan wasn't done. April 1st, about a week after his successful robbery, he walked into a NatWest bank in Hastings. Tried to rob them too. Different bank, same strategy. Hand over a threatening note, demand money, presumably use bus pass to escape again. Because if a method leads to police identifying you, obviously repeat it. Except this cashier resisted, refused to give him money. Alan left empty-handed again. 2 attempts failed because cashiers couldn't read or wouldn't cooperate. 1 successful because handwriting improved and cashier complied. Really highlights how much of crime depends on other people's cooperation. Bank robbery requires a compliant victim. Otherwise, it's just standing at a counter being awkward. Not exactly the power dynamic criminals aim for. By this point, police had identified him from the bus pass incident. They came to his house, found him walking nearby, searched his home, discovered a stack of sticky notes, the same brand and size used in the robberies. Also found the jacket he wore in the CCTV footage. Not hidden, not disposed of, just there in his house like normal possessions. Because why would you get rid of evidence when you could keep it as a souvenir of your brief criminal career? The court proceedings must have been interesting. Prosecutor presenting evidence of a pensioner who robbed banks with sticky notes. Failed once because nobody could read his handwriting. Succeeded once after improving his penmanship. Then got caught because he used his senior citizen bus pass for the getaway. Defense attorney probably had a challenging time explaining that sequence of decisions. Your Honor, my client simply didn't think through the traceability of public transportation payment systems. Not exactly a compelling defense. smiling, pletivoles, sentenced to prison time. All because he decided at 67 that bank robbery was the retirement activity he'd been missing. Most people his age worry about pensions and healthcare. Alan worried about improving handwriting so cashiers could read his threats. Different priorities. The sticky notes are what make this story legendary. Professional bank robbers use masks, weapons, getaway drivers. Alan used office supplies and public transportation. The note from the first attempt that nobody could read became evidence in his trial. Imagine being convicted partially because your handwriting was so bad it took multiple people to decipher your threat, then improving it for the next robbery only to get caught anyway because of a bus pass. The progression is almost educational. Shows that fixing one problem doesn't matter if you're creating bigger problems with other decisions. It's like patching a tire leak on a car that's already on fire. Technically progress, but missing the bigger picture. Think about the bus driver who saw the news and realized they'd given a ride to a bank robber who paid with his senior pass. Probably their most interesting passenger story that month. The other passengers had no idea they were sharing transport with someone who just committed a felony. Just another afternoon commute in Eastbourne. The bank employees, who couldn't read the first note, probably felt relieved when they learned what it said. Turns out they were being threatened and didn't know it because the handwriting was illegible. That's either lucky or unlucky depending on perspective. They avoided being robbed but didn't realize they were in danger. Someone tried to threaten me, but their penmanship was so poor I thought they wanted help with their account. The story became news across the UK. Headlines wrote themselves. Pensioners bank robbery foiled by bad handwriting. Senior citizen uses bus pass after robbery. Man improves penmanship for crime, gets caught anyway. Local news couldn't believe their luck. This story had everything. Elderly criminal, failed threats, improved handwriting, public transportation, sticky notes as evidence. It played like a comedy except it was real and he went to prison. The kind of story journalists dream about. No research needed, the absurdity explains itself. Probably won awards for headline writing that month. Alan's neighbors probably had reactions when they learned about the arrests. That quiet man was robbing banks. Usually neighborhood drama involves parking disputes. Alan elevated it to federal crimes. Next neighborhood watch meeting had interesting topics. Also, please don't use your bus pass after committing crimes. Thanks. The whole thing could have been avoided with basic planning. Don't write illegible threats. Don't use public transportation with traceable payment after crimes. Don't keep evidence at home. Don't rob multiple banks in the same area. These seem obvious, but Alan missed them all. Spectacular failure of criminal planning makes police training videos easier to produce. Here's what not to do, demonstrated by Alan Slattery. Britain's criminal justice system processed a 67-year-old man who robbed banks with sticky notes and got caught via bus pass. The judge probably had thoughts when sentencing him. I've seen many robbery cases, but this combination of office supplies and public transit is unprecedented. Not the legacy Alan envisioned for his brief criminal career. The real lesson is that retirement hobbies matter. Choose something sustainable. Something that doesn't involve threatening bank employees with unreadable notes. Something that doesn't require using government-issued identification after breaking laws. Alan's retirement plan had serious execution flaws. Should have stuck with gardening. Much lower imprisonment risk, though significantly lower reward if you don't count getting arrested.